Hi-ho, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt. All right, that's the name of the podcast, and we're going to start off talking about the Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt origin story. My special guest today is Tim Flynn. He is the man to whom I uttered those apocryphal words about, Kiss shirts. The reason of the podcast, I didn't black this out, but Lick It Up tour, this guy was wearing it. He was in my biology class, and I walked in, and what do you look at? What do you see? You're just like, hey, there's a Kiss logo, and there's a dude, and he looks cool, and I said, hey man, nice Kiss shirt. I mean, am I getting it wrong?
I think you were getting it absolutely correct. I couldn't remember if it was that shirt or Animalized, but it was that one, right? Mm-hmm. And then kind of got to know each other then, right? But then on the trip down to Florida for the band trip when we played the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, we were both in marching band.
That's when I had the box of tapes that had Ace Frehley's solo album in it.
Yeah.
Along with The Last Command by Wasp, which was total bonding on both of those.
Dude, did you happen to read the comment I left on somebody's, I can't remember if it was a podcast or a post, but it might have been, It's All For You, Demon. Again, this is the book, Rock and Roll All Night and Journal Every Day, a year-long guide to celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan. And that's Rick, the aforementioned dude that probably brought up that topic of, like, Christmas albums. Maybe it was Kiss Army things. At any rate, I think it was Kiss Army things that had asked people to mention in the comments what their Kiss Christmas album was. And so, this would have been Christmas 85. We're coming up on 40 years of friendship at this coming Christmas. It's time flies when you're having fun.
Thanks to a Kiss shirt.
Yep, it all started because of this. Not this exact shirt. I think I got this from Aaron, but no. So I mean, my Kiss Christmas album was Asylum. And that was one of the tapes, everybody brought their tape cases with them on this. It was a week-long marching band trip to Walt Disney World. And, Tim, he had Ace's solo record and Last Command, and I had Asylum. I don't know what else. You know what I do remember about my cassette copy of Asylum still has, there's a little piece of masking tape in the case, had my name written on it. My mom had gone through the night before all my stuff and taped my name on everything.
Nice.
It's like, thanks, Mom. I'll always know whose Kiss Asylum cassette this is. So anyway, that's the story of Hey Man, Nice Kiss shirt. The friendships of Kiss do persist.
We've never looked back. You
can take that rhyme to the bank. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we get into this week's journal entries?
Let's do the journaling.
Let's do it. All right, so we're going to start off this week with January 8th. Happy birthday, Sean Delaney. And as I said last week, with some of these, I'll read what I wrote. Some are complete entries, and some are just sort of placeholders. That's just to allow me to riff on this stuff. But Rick asks, describe the greatest contribution you feel Sean Delaney brought to Kiss. And I wrote, in a word, choreography. So, as some of us know, like, he's known by many as the fifth member of Kiss. He was that integral. Some would say that's Bill Aucoin, Some would say J.R. Smalling. Everybody's got a different answer, but I think Sean is really that guy because he really taught Kiss to play to the back of the room. I mean, you know, they always say, you know, we wanted to be the band we never saw and not just be up there in jeans and t-shirts. But you can even tell, you know, I don't think they would have, I don't think they would have evolved into the juggernaut that they were, had they not had Sean to show them how to do the, you know, the deuce bit.
You said he's on the Coventry stuff, all that, the earliest stuff. He's in the mix on all of that, right? And that's what made an impression on me is how much I've heard him talk about, how much he was behind pretty much everything they were doing at that point. So
now, had you seen any of that like before the Kissology DVDs came out?
I don't think so.
I think that was it for me too.
Yeah, it was
But
quite the footage to see when I think he introduces him at those shows too, doesn't he?
he might. I think it's actually was it Bobby McAdams? Who's the guy that got the credit on Ace's solo record? Maybe, I don't know. I think in Kiss Alive Forever they touch on that because they're pretty exhaustive in that book about each of the gigs. You know, I mean, obviously right down to the set list. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the answer to that question. Is you know, Sean made him dance. Sean made him move the way they did, and I mean, let's not gloss over, you know, Take Me, Making Love. Doesn't he get it? He gets a co-write on Making Love, which that's Rock and Roll Over is, most days that you ask me, I'm going to say that's my favorite studio record, and Making Love might be my favorite song on it. Definitely my favorite solo on it. That's definitely top 5 Ace. That's a dangerous one. I can't be behind the wheel when that song comes on because I might get a speeding ticket depending on where I am. But yeah, okay. So yeah, let's just call it good on that. Choreography, Sean Delaney. I don't have any of his solo stuff. Done a couple records.
That's right.
I didn't see him at any of the expos, conventions that I went to. But yeah, gone but not forgotten. Sean Delaney. All right, moving on. January 9th. Boy, look at this is just a placeholder. I didn't write much in response to this question. It's 1976. You can spend the day with one member of Kiss. Who do you choose and what are you doing? It's Gene for me. Part of my rationale for that answer is because he's the only member of Kiss I never met. Well, I never met Mark St. John either, but yeah, Gene's definitely the bucket list guy for me, and the one who made that initial impression and scared the shit out of me. And Gene's just cool. And what would we do? Probably eat a bunch of like junk food, and I mean
There you go.
I seem to have a sweet tooth in common with Gene, so we'd probably go places and eat fattening foods. I don't know. I can't even imagine what I'd do. What would you do with Gene? Well, first of all, let me back it up and pose that question to you because maybe you don't have the same.
No, it'd be Peter Criss for me as far as drummer and all this.
And let's,
I would try to finagle a drum lesson out of him, I'm sure.
following the parameters of the question though, like it's 76. So, and and here's the thing too, as if it needs to be said, but I think like the thing with this book is, I mean, it's the fun of being a Kiss fan, right? So I mean, just let your imagination go wild. I don't think there should be too many like real world parameters on when we're putting ourselves in these hypothetical dream scenarios with our heroes. I'm not going to pretend that like, well, I'm 5 years old hanging out with Gene Simmons, so for you it would be Peter.
Oh, for sure. And whatever, I mean, you get Kiss meets a fan about it, and let's go hang out in the amusement park.
Yeah, that would be cool. Ride the Colossus with Kiss.
There you go.
But yeah, a drum lesson, that'd be badass. Do you think Peter would have the patience to teach either one of us to play?
This is a good point.
Or would we, I mean, because ostensibly we'd be our age, or we'd be grown-ups hanging out in 76. Would we already know how to play drums? I mean, you're never too old to learn some shit from the Catman, I guess. But yeah, as far as like what I would do with Gene, like, I don't know, just I'd want to say, maybe like go see The Exorcist or something. Like, I don't know, like in 76, like what's it was Omen in the, like, maybe I'd go see The Omen with Gene Simmons. It'd be cool to see a horror movie with Gene. That would be awesome. And I'm sure, I should have thought more about this one before this episode, but because I'm sure I'm going to think of like all kinds of cool shit that I would do with Gene, but, sky's the limit, I guess.
It's our hypothetical. Let's just do everything.
Yeah, let's do everything. And, and this is where I kind of lob it once again to you viewers in the comments. Well, answer the question in the comments for yourselves. Because I'd be interested to see, as always. That's why I'm doing this. So January 10th asks, which version of Peter Criss makeup do you prefer? The debut album look, 74, or the classic Catman look that appeared on Hotter Than Hell? What makes one better than the other? My answer was, right between the two is a good start. But the cool thing about the Catman makeup is how much it changed over the years. So for me, I'm pretty sure the first time unless they were like, in like Teen Beat or Cream or something, and chances are then they were in black and white, so I wouldn't have associated or known that they were the photos that we now refer to as the Red Room sessions. Mm-hmm. I think Rayanne Rubinstein photographed them, and Peter's got his hair teased up and his whiskers are kind of like drooping down. They're the photos that appeared in The Evolution of Kiss, representing 1973 with the PC armband with the dagger. The first album promo poster, I think those are from the same sessions. Peter's just looking like a badass. Looking like he would literally cut you with that fucking thing. But yeah, I liked his hair in those shots, and yeah, I like the droopy whiskers, and not so much on the chin stuff that Joel Brodsky. I don't know if it was. I think it was. I think I read that the actual photographer of the first album, I don't think he had a makeup artist, or maybe he did, but they actually, instead of Kiss doing it themselves, the makeup artist on the shoot applied the makeup.
That's what I heard, is that Peter had someone else do it for that album. And
yeah.
I guess I'm used to, I go classic, but it's just because I'm used to that kind of look a lot more, but it's too busy, too much going on in that
Yeah.
early stuff. So I'll go classic.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. Yeah, so yeah, like this journal entry refers to that classic look as what appeared on Hotter Than Hell, and I guess that is classic, but again, like go a little bit later than that, you know, into like the spring of '74, summer of '74. Those shots that Waring Abbott took in Central Park, that all his black and white stuff, but especially the Central Park shots, that to me, you know, with the black and silver and the leather, all the leather and that vest Peter had, you know, that peekaboo kind of like corset vest, and that's just so badass.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm picturing for classic. I'm just picturing basically the Alive 2 photo.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I think is like, you know, classic is the later kind of like solo
Yeah,
album.
I didn't really think
Alive
Hotter Than Hell either. I just was picturing more like the era when I got into him. So late 70s. For sure.
Yeah. So that's a good kind of sidebar. It's like, what was it for you? Like, what was the genesis for you when Kiss hit your radar and you were just like, what the, you know, what is this?
Just in general?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we might have talked about this at some point, but
as far as how I got into him,
yeah,
my parents had joined the Columbia House Record Club, and of course didn't send one of the cards back one of the months. So Love Gun on 8-track.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him on TV a few times and went from being kind of freaked out at first to kind of figuring out what was going on, and then they passed it along to me when they got this unwanted 8-track in the mail instead of sending it back. And I took to it pretty quickly. Just thought it was good stuff. And then Alive 2 became available on that same record club a few months later, and so jumped on that and kind of went from there.
Were you guys getting tapes or records?
That one was 8-track, and
that was an 8-track.
Yeah, I don't remember. They might have just been 8 tracks. I can't remember.
So do you remember where like the ka-chunks were?
Yeah, I thought about that earlier. One was in the middle of going into the guitar solo of "Got Love for Sale."
Nice.
No good.
Yeah. Thumbs down.
But it's all I had. It was like what I knew. So
thumbs down on the ka-chunks.
I can still hear the ka-chunk for sure.
Yeah, I remember and I think maybe the first Kiss 8-track I had was double platinum, and that was just weird. That whole thing was jarring, like having to have 2 tapes
right.
plus ka-chunks, plus it was disorienting just hearing, you know, those versions of those songs. But yeah, we digress. But which is cool. I love talking about this shit.
Yeah, Kiss origin stories. I'm
trying to remember if I was victim to a few of those, like forget to send the card in and getting something by accident like that. Because my parents were in the RCA and the Columbia, and we never got anything by accident, like Kiss wise, but I do remember, I think it was, I want to say it was rock and roll, maybe it was Love Gun. Somebody out there will know. If you know, tell us, correct us in the comments about when they were when Kiss was the selection of the month. I feel like, I don't know if it was Destroyer, but I feel like they used the part of the front cover of Destroyer in the flyer, you know, the little booklet that came in the mail. I remember kind of freaking out when that came in the mail. Right. Anyway, January 11th of Rock and Roll All Night, Journal Every Day. Order it on Amazon. You'll be glad you did. January 11th asks, if you could alter the history of Kiss, what would you change? and what difference would it have made? So this is fraught with so many complications, and do we exist within the parameters of the butterfly effect, or do we change history? Are we gods in this scenario? Like, man, again, I could have filled up a couple of pages on this entry, but I threw a sentence in as a guidepost. Sometime during my 1976 hang with Gene, I'd take Peter aside and tell him his future in an effort to keep him in the band. Be like, dude, you need to chill out on the coke and the booze and the whatever else. Because honestly, I don't know, man. That was traumatic, man. Peter leaving the band, and because I knew, like, even then, like reading that, reading the bullshit spin, the 16 magazine spin on it, they're still friends, and Peter is still the treasurer of Kiss or whatever,
Is that where you found out? Do you remember?
That he was leaving?
Yeah, I can't remember when I.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it might have been the Hit Parade cover that said Kiss.
Kiss split.
Chris quits Kiss.
Chris quits Kiss.
I think that was Hit Parade, but I didn't read that back then. But I think I saw the cover.
Yeah, I remember. Maybe like in a Teen Beat. It wasn't 16. It was in one of the lesser mags. There was, when the solo albums came out, they had a picture of the solo albums, and like with a kind of like the solo album poster, but like with a big crack, and like a question mark, and like, do the solo albums mean a split for Kiss? It was like way before it really came down. But yeah, like yeah, I knew something. I knew that. I knew 16. My bullshit detector went off on 16 with that. Everything though, like I remember him being, when he came back and was on Tom Snyder, and was all like, had his like salt and pepper beard and everything. Oh, yeah. and just trying to like play it off like, oh yeah, we're still friends and all that. But no, like, yeah, getting back to the question, like, it obviously begs the question, would it have made any difference? Anybody who's ever met Peter or pays attention, like, knows that he can be real moody and just run hot and cold and be two different people. Maybe he'd get defensive, and maybe he'd think I was full of shit. Who wouldn't think you're full of shit when you're like, I'm from the future, and I'm gonna tell you that this is what you're gonna do, and who knows?
That's where I first thought, when you first read the question, I thought about the original lineup staying together. But I think my main one would be, I would like everything to have fallen into place to see a full tour of the Elder. So I looked at them a lot, and based on the sketches of what they had going idea-wise, I think that would have been something really cool to see.
Yeah, so you've seen those Mark Ravitz sketches of like the well and like all those, yeah.
Would love to have seen it.
That, and I kind of, those, I always say like those are my dark ages of Kiss. From like, it was just like fever pitch after seeing them on Dynasty. Kiss was just like, it was just everything. And then Unmasked came out. I remember like, hearing Shandy and like, remember Song Hits? There was a Song Hits,
for sure,
magazine that had, I think it was Shandy. Maybe they had two. Maybe they had like, Is That You or something. But I was just like, it just didn't grab me. I didn't fall off the train by any means, But then we moved to Missouri, and I was like 30 miles from a gas station and just like had no idea. And it wasn't until after Lick It Up came out, I would come back here for summers, spend the summer with my dad, and I remember telling you that like seeing, I think it was Hit Parader, seeing like a subscription ad for Hit Parader, and it was like Creatures Era, and like Gene was biting on the magazine, and I saw Vinny, and I was like, I honestly thought, like, my first impression was that Ace had gotten stung by a wasp. And I was like, why is his nose fucked up? Did he change his makeup because it fucked up his face? I mean, the shit you think when you're a kid, you know? But so I want to touch on like a similar impression that you had, like seeing, because you saw that tour. Mm-hmm. So to tell us a little bit about.
Well, we went down with my friend's grandparents took us, so we didn't listen to 105 on the way down, which I later heard. They interviewed Gene on the air when he said Ace wasn't going to be there. But you know how it was back then. We had no idea. I was one of the people that had no idea that Ace wasn't even in the band anymore.
So was anybody that you went with, were they hip to that interview, or did they know anything?
No. We had no idea. To my friend's credit, his name was Mark. He could tell before I could that just by the way, Saginaw Civic Center is not that big, but it's still, if you're in the back, there's no video screens back then.
Yeah.
And he just could tell by the way he was moving and playing that he was like, I don't know who that is, but it's not Ace. And I agree with him. And then Paul introduced him, I think, by name after he did his solo, which we later learned was Vinnie Vincent. And, but yeah, we had no idea.
Did he whip out the violin bow?
I do have a memory of him doing that.
Yep. Yeah, that's crazy. You know, so for those of you young, you know, too young to have absorbed the world that way, it's like, yeah, it's hard to describe what that was like.
I don't remember seeing the t-shirt, the merch booths either with the t-shirts were up, but I didn't remember seeing that because I didn't know, we didn't find out what his name was till the next day when they wrote about it in the paper. So, except for hearing him say that.
Yeah, that's wild. All right. Let's get into. Okay, so yeah, just to recap, I'm telling Peter to stay in the band, and you're
I'm going to see the Elder live.
Yeah, damn man, you know, because I like that record a lot too, and man, it just, yeah, what a sad. Have you read the Odyssey, that Julian Gill book? That just goes exhaustively in depth about.
Yeah, actually, I think I did read that one. Yeah. I don't remember it that well, but I did read it.
There's so much. There's so much in there. It's almost like information.
They talked to pretty much everybody that was even vaguely around, right?
Yeah. But you're right. That would have been. And again, going back to 16 magazine, although those were my dark ages, I did see at the time. You know, 16 ran an article, Kiss's new look, you'll flip, or whatever. And, you know, Gene cut off his hair. And I thought they looked cool as shit, honestly. I liked those costumes. But I had no idea about the concept. I had no idea what it sounded like. You know, I didn't even think they ran a photo of the album. That there was just two or three pages of Kiss's new look. That's all I knew. So anyway, yeah, January 12th. This is another tough one. You are allowed in the Kiss warehouse. What is one item you hope to find? And I wrote, I have to assume that if I'm allowed inside, I'm also allowed to play one of Peter's drum kits.
Good one.
The Mirror Ball one would be my first choice, like the Alive era, the super sparkly one, followed by the Honeycomb kit. Single head, you know, concert toms, pearly white. Those are badass. If I'm not that lucky and it's look, don't touch, I want to see the Frankenstein lightning machine, the Van der Graaf generator that they used on the Destroyer tour. And when I wrote that the other night, I just kept thinking more about, okay, like, well, first of all, I don't even know what's still in the KISS warehouse, so like, I can't even really be hampered by the reality of what may or may not be in there. So then I start thinking about it, like, just stretching the fantasy to the limits is like me, you, the Bryans, Jim, Dave, we all go. It's like, okay, well, here's the keys. You're allowed to stay in here for 24 hours. You are liable for all damages, but other than that, have fun, And I just imagine, like, like all of the Destroyer stage elements, in this warehouse in a big pole barn, and they've got the, like, the Alive 2, logo, Love Going Alive 2 logo hanging in the rigging. They've got everything set up. We got PA, so we're jamming. Oh God, that'd be so fun. Just to, like, I don't know, man, like that Spire, that Gene had, the lightning machine. It'd be cool to have like a Great Expectations jam on the Destroyer set. But yeah, I mean, as far as, like, he does specify, like, what is one item you hope to find. And I was there, I don't know, did you go to that? I think it was it 94? The
Convention?
The convention when Paul and Gene, when I was there for the convention raid, and there was a lot of really good stuff. And was it the year? Man, I can't keep it. I can't keep those Detroit conventions straight. But the one that had a lot of the costumes. Well, wait, maybe it was the 95 convention that had. I remember the Silver Sparkle kit being there, and I remember, like, lucite displays with, like, our Dynasty costumes. Did you go to the 95 convention?
No, I don't believe so.
Because, like, that was the officially sanctioned KISS one where KISS played, where I finally got to meet Paul, and I got that Dynasty poster signed. And
yeah, no, the regular KISS convention I did not.
Yeah,
I went to some of those ones at the Marriott.
But I mixed some of those up. Yeah, like Tim was there at the one where we jammed. We had a little unplugged KISS jam in our room.
Oh yeah,
at the Troy Marriott. Who's got that video? Does Brian Coggins have? One of our friends has video of us jamming, and there were noise complaints. Of course, there were noise complaints. But in a way, like, you would think there wouldn't be noise complaints of people jamming KISS tunes.
I forgot about that.
And these guys,
from down the hall.
There was these two dudes that were down the hall, and they must have. I mean, they were friends. They must have came together, and they must have had the same idea that we did, that they were going to jam. And didn't they both have identical? They had the Marshall. I know at least one of them had a white Marshall Micro Stack, and I think one or both of them. It was really weird because, like, there was like a blonde guy and like a Hispanic looking dude, but they both. I feel like they both had flying V's. Maybe
that seems right. Yeah, I could just picture them wailing away next to the bed in this hotel room.
Yeah. And it was just like they knocked on the door and they heard us making noise, and it was like, yeah, can we jam? But I digress, man. But it's fun to digress. But just to the point that I mix up a lot of the details of those conventions. I remember the point I was making, and the way it ties into this entry, is that the reason it was hard for me to think of what I would want to see in the KISS warehouse is because I've already seen a lot of that really cool shit, and
Right.
like the destroyer set pieces are probably, you know, in that Van de Graaff generator that was in the original 1931 Frankenstein. Like I've never seen that. That'd be cool, but you know, I saw the 4x4 Ken Kelly oil painting of the Love Gun cover, so that's not so bad.
I probably just want to try on a original pair of the old boots, the old jean boots.
Yeah,
That's
the dragon boots, or hey, reach over there and
100% dragon boots.
grab that dragon boot shell. For those of you who don't know, hey Peter, what are you doing over there? Get your hands off of that dragon boot, Peter. What'd I tell you a million times?
We lost Ace.
But yeah, we lost Ace a long time ago. But here's a dragon boot for you. I know it's not exactly what you had in mind. You guys check out David P. and the fine work he does at kissreplicas.com. I'll tell the story about that dragon boot shell on another episode, but had to bring it up. All right, let's get into January 13th. What is the most fun Kiss record in your collection and why? My response, simple, one sentence response. Alive 2, because of all the memories I have of the day that the best mom in the world bought it for me. That was for you, Mom. All right.
I'll go with Unmasked. It just strikes me as a fun album.
Do you have
High
similar
energy, actually, a lot of times fun.
Do you have similar like first day like when you first got Unmasked, where you kind of?
I can remember picking that up at the Kmart. Yeah, I think we went up north right after that and played on the little portable turntable, and that's not what I've always liked, so I took right to that one as well.
Was there anything that was like really shocking or surprising or?
I remember the intro to Torpedo Girl used to weird me out a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely
as a 10-year-old in a what the hell is this kind of way.
Yeah, for sure. I think I know, but I think what it was for me for Alive is like just from the very beginning, like you mentioned that, you know, getting Unmasked at Kmart. I got Alive 2 at the fair up in the South Flint Plaza, and I'm going through the records, and I remember it was just like a jolt of fear. Like I jumped a little bit, and I'm flipping through, and I see that Kiss logo, and to this day I love. I mean, the classic is the red to orange fade, but the red to blue of Alive 2 is just so badass. And I flip the record over, and I see Gene and that bloody Gene face. That's got to be. If I ever get Gene's face tattooed on me, it's going to be that image, because I mean that's just a visceral. It's just a punch in the gut, man. Seeing him on the back of Alive 2, and like those of you familiar with, you know, the vinyl version, you know, it's printed right on the spine, $11.98, and that was a lot of money in '77. Let me tell you. And I had to, man, I don't know what we were there to. She was getting clothes or whatever she was getting. I didn't care. But I begged my mom, please buy this. Please, I need to have this. And she relented. I just caught her on a good day. We didn't have a whole lot of money, but she just happened to have enough, you know, and she stipulated, you know, that this is your birthday and your Christmas, and you better be doing all your chores. And, you know, she really laid it on thick, but I walked out of the fair store with Alive 2, and man, and I just getting home, oh man, I should have this on hand. Maybe I'll show it on the next episode. But I'm just going over every bit of everything in that Alive 2, unwrapping it. But what I was just gonna say about the side 4, I mean, who doesn't love side 4 of Alive 2? But I still have my original copy, and I taken like a red flare pen and crossed out in the writing credit of any way you want it. In parentheses, it says D. Clark. And I scratched it out and wrote Kiss. And, man, if I could figure out how to, like, put that in post, I might just, like, throw that in this video. But it's funny, because I just remember being, Dick Clark didn't write this, you know? I didn't even think I thought write this. I don't even know that I was really sure, like, what those credits meant.
Right.
You know? I thought it was Dick Clark instead of Dave Clark. And I was just like, no, it's Kiss. I just wrote Kiss. But, yeah, I just remember, like, laying on the floor in my bedroom and just going through that Evolution of Kiss book and just just for a couple of hours probably, and just staring at every photo, staring at the order form, staring at the tattoos, just going over and over and just flipping those records and just living in Kiss world. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. I'm having fun just remembering that. All right, that's a whole lot of fun for January 13th. Moving on to January 14th. This is going to take us, this takes us up to the end of our episode. In your opinion, does the cover of Dynasty work for the return of Kiss? Or should the band have stuck with hand-drawn artwork, as they had done on previous studio albums, Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun, and the solo LPs? My answer, I think it works perfectly, because that in the flesh idea that it conveys lines up with my personal history, because my first time being in the same room with the Fearsome Foursome was the Dynasty tour. So yeah, seeing those promo ads on TV for the return of Kiss, and they come, walking toward the camera with their new costumes and just, again, begging the best mom in the world, can we go, can we go, can we go? God, she probably got so fucking sick of hearing me. But yeah. Yeah, I think having those, especially that look on Gene's face, and just that's pure Kiss, man.
Yeah, it became as iconic, I think, as any of those other albums that came before. So maybe just because I'm used to it, but I think it's, which video is it for? Cheryl something, I think.
Oh yeah, where they
created it, which I don't think I saw that till a little bit later, but I always thought that was really great too. So it I think of that when I think of the cover, and I do think it works really well as a cover. So I think it was the right cover at the right time for sure.
Yep. And I know I speak for you when I say this, but because it was just Kiss fever from I don't know. Alive 2-ish, through Phantom, because we were not old enough to be. Yeah, I know a lot of people who Phantom kind of put a bad taste in their mouth a little bit, and no way, not me, man. But straight through, all the way through the solo albums up to Dynasty, the return of Kiss aspect of it didn't really make much sense to me, because you can't return if you didn't leave, but as far as whether a photograph versus a painting, or I'm with you. I think Kiss in your face, the way they look on that album, perfectly fitting. And yeah, man, I think that's gonna do it for this week in Rock and Roll All Night and Journal Every Day. I've been your host, Fido Kennington, with my special guest, Tim Flynn. And yeah, any parting thoughts for the children of America and the world?
I do not.
All right. Well, we'll call it good. As always, hope you dug the video. Please like, put your two lips together and kiss that subscribe button. We'll be seeing you in a week.